I want to give my thoughts on all of Krillin's deaths in Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. How many times did Krillin actually die? Let's find out! Alright, enough. So without further ado, let's talk about all of Krillin's deaths. So first of all, Krillin dies a little bit way too much. And way too often. Now, in Dragon Ball Super, Krillin actually does not die. At least not to my knowledge, so that's one of the good things about Dragon Ball Super. They tend to kind of keep Krillin alive. Alright, so the first time that Krillin dies is in the Piccolo Daimao, or the Demon King Piccolo arc. And it's right at the very beginning. The demon, Tambourine, the winged dinosaur-looking demon spawn of Piccolo, Krillin gets into a fight with him because he's robbing to get the papers of all of the martial artists who participated in the Tenkaichi Budokai. Whoops. Yeah. The Tenkaichi Budokai. Yeah, that was it. Alright, so anyways, Tambourine and Krillin really fight. They don't really fight that hard, but Tambourine taps Krillin on the top of his head, and I guess he cracks his skull, and Krillin has blood coming out of his mouth, and his eyes are like stone cold. So Krillin just drops dead from the blow to the head that Tambourine gives him, and he's gone. That's it. Krillin is dead. He is no more. To make matters worse, Demon King Piccolo kills the dragon Shenron. So, after Goku defeats King Piccolo, he has to go to Kami's lookout, or God's lookout, and then God recreates the Dragon Balls, or he resurrects the dragon, and then, Yamcha, I think, is the one that makes the wish that brings back all of those that were killed by Demon King Piccolo and his evil spawn. So Krillin is brought back to life. And keep in mind that later in the series, anyone that's brought back by the Dragon Balls once cannot be revived again. So naturally, Krillin dies again. This time in the Frieza arc, or the Namek arc, or whatever, the first Frieza arc. Basically, Frieza survives the Genki Dama that Goku throws on him. And so, yeah. So Goku fires a large Genki Dama on Frieza. Frieza lives. He tries to hit Goku. Piccolo blocks it and he gets injured. In the manga, he just hits Piccolo directly. Frieza then uses his psychic energy or whatever. He fires a small ball or whatever into Krillin's stomach and uses his psychic telekinesis to send Krillin into the sky and blows him up to smithereens. That's the end of Krillin. Let's go! What's up, 3-4? How are you doing, man? Let's go! Oh yeah, 3-4. When are we gonna do that Yu-Gi-Oh game? When are we gonna have our duel monsters duel? Alright, so anyways, continuing on. So Krillin is dead again. But the Namekian Dragon Balls come back, or whatever. And the first wish of the Namekian Dragon Balls brings Krillin's dead soul to Yenmadao's check-in station, and the second wish brings Krillin back to life on Earth. So that's how they bring him back to life on Earth, since Frieza destroyed planet Namek. Who is stronger, Krillin or Tien? In which arc? Apple Cake Pizza. In which arc, though? Like, in the 22nd and 23rd Tenkaichi Budokais, Ten Shinhan is definitely stronger than Krillin. Krillin can't even get past the quarter or the semifinals. Tien Shinhan is in the finals with Goku, and then he makes it to the semifinals in the 23rd. Later in the series, Yamcha is absent a lot except at very certain points. Although Ten Shinhan is highly involved during the later part of the Saiyan arc and the earlier part of the Androids arc, but he really doesn't do much after the Saiyan arc. And then, of course, whereas Krillin is always involved throughout the series, but it's really hard to tell. Krillin tries whatever he can after the Frieza arc to avoid fighting villains that he knows are way over his level of fighting, at least until the Tournament of Power or the Universal Survival arc, where he behaves like the Krillin that he was before. I don't know, dude. I would say that most of the time, Ten Shinhan is the strongest. Anyways, Krillin's brought back to life with the first and second wish of the Namekian Dragon Balls. This happens at the very end of the Frieza arc. And then the next time that Krillin dies is future Krillin dies in the future Trunks timeline. Once again, Toyotaro, he drew up this special chapter for the Dragon Ball Super manga. It was in 2016 or 17. And it shows androids 17 and 18 attacking and blowing up West City. That's probably when Krillin was involved in that fight. And at some point during that fight, he was killed by the androids. The Genzo Ningen, or the androids. So, in the anime, we just kind of see a clip, or like a brief clip, of, I think, 17 or 18 just blasting a ki blast straight through Krillin's chest, killing him. And because Piccolo is killed in the future timeline, God is also killed, and there's no Dragon Balls in the future. And I guess they have no knowledge of where to find the Namekians, since they went to another version of Namek or whatever. Even though technically they would already have knowledge of space travel or space technology. But whatever, dude. So future Trunks, he goes back in the past and he changes the timeline. And so in the Dragon Ball Z timeline, Krillin is never killed by the androids. So anyways, in the Majin Buu arc, the Demon Lord Dabura, the Demon King Dabura, he spits on Krillin and turns him to stone. So technically, when Piccolo and Krillin are turned to stone, they're actually dead, basically. But then Majin Buu turns the Demon Lord Dabura into chocolate and eats him, and when he dies, Krillin is basically released from his stone imprisonment. So Piccolo's alive again. Krillin is alive again. And so is Piccolo, because they turn back to normal when Dabura dies. He's turned into chocolate and eaten by Fat Majin Buu, basically. Right after Buu is brought back to life by Bobbity from his ball or whatever. Giant ball. Or giant magical ball or cocoon. So anyways, but that's not the end. Later in the Majin Buu arc, Majin Buu escapes from the room of Spirit in Time. He screams and it sends these shock waves or these echo waves that tear through the fabric of the dimensions. And because of that, Majin Buu was able to return back to God's or Dende's lookout. And on the lookout, Krillin and Yamcha, they try to fight to protect the women and children, because Krillin is married at this point. He has a wife and a child named Marin. He's married to Android 18, or her name is actually Lazuli. 18 is a cyborg. She was born as a human called Lazuli. She was turned into a cyborg by Dr. Giro and named 18, but her real name is Lazuli. Krillin is married to her, and they have their daughter Marin. And Krillin is turned into chocolate and eaten up by Majin Buu. Now, in the anime filler, Krillin and Yamcha go to the Daikaio's planet in the afterlife. And I guess Krillin stays there until he's brought back to life a second time by the Namekian Dragon Balls. Again, by the second wish, which basically everyone that died since the morning of the 25th Tenkaichi Budokai are brought back to life. So Krillin is brought back to life on God's lookout. Yeah. In the Dragon Ball Z movies, I don't think that nothing really happens. Broly almost kills Krillin in the second Broly movie. I believe Krillin has Piccolo's cape or whatever in the second Broly movie, Broly's Second Coming. Broly actually, I think he knocks the crap out of Krillin, but Krillin basically survives or whatever. So yeah, we can do it this weekend if you want. Yeah, okay, so, how is it done? 3-4. When would be a good time? You live on the other side of the world, so, when would it be a good time? I remember the androids killed Piccolo in that timeline. Are you referring to the future Trunks timeline or the future Cell timeline? Because Piccolo was killed in both of those timelines. And then God was also affected and was killed, and there was no more Dragon Balls because God created Shenron. So the soul was trapped in the stone, so they can't go to the afterlife. Yeah, basically. Well, their body is turned completely into stone. And so their mind and their spirit are also turned completely into stone. They're basically just hibernating inside of the stone for eternity. It's basically the same as when they are absorbed by Majin Buu. It's the same as that. Their soul lies dormant for eternity, or at least until they're freed by someone else. It's like they're trapped inside the pods in Majin Buu's brain. How many times can the Namekian Dragon Balls revive someone? That is a very good question. Let me see here. Is it possible? Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I can just look this up on the computer. How many times can Namekian Dragon Balls revive someone? Alright, give me a second here and I'll look it up, because I actually don't know. I don't think that there is actually a limit. With the Earth Dragon Balls, it can only happen one time. You can be resurrected one time. The reason as to why is because there is a rule in which the dragon cannot grant the same wish twice. So that's the reason why a person cannot be revived after one time. Alright, it does not actually say. So I'm going to guess that in the case of the Namekian Dragon Balls, it can happen an infinity of times. You can only use the Earth Dragon Balls one time. The sole exception to that rule is at the end of GT, when Goku is brought back to life again, potentially by the Dragon Balls, as well as in the second Broly movie. So anyways, in Dragon Ball GT, Krillin is killed again this time by Android 17. So, in much of the same way as in the future Trunks arc, we have a much older Krillin with a mustache and gray hair, and I think he puts up a pretty good fight, but he fights like the Earth version of Android 17, and right in front of Marin and 18, Android 17 basically kills Krillin on the spot. He literally fires a ki blast, impales him, and I guess he dies of internal organ failure and bleeding from the ki blast. It's actually pretty tragic. Krillin's death is really shocking in GT. Probably really the most terrifying death scene of Krillin ever. You know, because it's pretty bad. You know, it's almost as bad as the Frieza death of Krillin. So anyways, Krillin is dead at that point. And then when Shenron comes back at the end of the Shadow Dragon arc, Goku wishes for everyone to be brought back to life or whatever. The wish is granted, and Krillin is brought back to life. And we see him and Goku fighting at it at the last episode before Goku leaves and flies away with Shenron forever into the Dragon Realm. In Dragon Ball Super, Krillin actually does not die. There's a couple of close calls, but Krillin literally doesn't die in Super. Pretty impressive, if you ask me. But in the timeline where Goku Black comes from, there is a potential possibility that after Zamasu uses the Super Dragon Balls to switch bodies with Goku and becomes Goku Black, he probably does kill Krillin in that timeline before he goes to future Trunks' timeline. Also, when future Zeno wipes out the entire multiverse, he also erases future Krillin from existence in the afterlife. So, future Krillin is in the afterlife and he's wiped out of existence by future Zeno when he destroys infinite merged Zamasu. Well, other than that, Krillin, I don't really know about the case of Dragon Ball Heroes. Alright, so That's really about it. That's all of Krillin's deaths in the series. We can do Yu-Gi-Oh! Whenever is good for you. Did you want to use software or just using phones? I would prefer to use software because I only have like attack and special power-up cards or special movement cards. I don't actually have like monster or what monster and wizard cards or whatever. I don't have a complete card deck. I also don't even really know how to play Duel Monsters or Yu-Gi-Oh! I would have to learn. Would you prefer to like do Magic the Gathering or play Magic the Gathering instead of Yu-Gi-Oh? But yeah, I would prefer to use software. Duel Book is a good Yu-Gi-Oh software and it works in browser. Really. It's pretty awesome, dude. I've never used it. I would have to literally learn from scratch how to use it, so it would be pretty unimpressive. If we were to play like a Dragon Ball or Transformers related game, you see, I would actually know how to do it. I also, I know how to do RuneScape, old school RuneScape and Minecraft and Fallout Online. At least I know how to play those games. I also have a few games on the PS4 if you're interested, but yeah. Well, I guess that's going to be it then. I'll go ahead and end this.